Hi, I'm Tiffany Vondran with Fulton Grace, and today I have with me Brad Pierce with Haven Home Staging and Jesse Sherr with Renovation Sells. So I met Brad through an introduction from Chicago Real Producers magazine. I was featured in there, and they are great at partnering industry professionals with each other that can benefit working together, and I was looking for more stagers, and so they introduced me to Haven Home Staging, and I was connected with Brad. The owner of Fulton Grace, TJ Rubin, meets with some of his agents on a monthly basis and kind of goes through strategy, and I was mentioning a listing that I had coming on the market that was a 2008 construction, had the granite, the maple cabinets, and TJ was like, oh, you gotta meet my guy Jesse Sherr. So he connected us, and yeah, Jesse's helped several of my clients.
Haven Home Staging has been here in Chicago for 13 years. We are Chicago-based. Our goal is really to help show functionality, highlight spaces, and oftentimes soften details, dated spaces, challenging layouts, areas where furnishings will help make a space look bigger and more functional.
Renovation Sells has been around for about 5 years. Everyone in the company has done real estate construction, real estate renovations for much longer than that, but we started this business to really help sellers get their places ready to sell. So a very specific niche market, and just about everyone that is working on the houses that we're doing work for Renovation Sells. So we're not subcontracting out too many things. We've got painters, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, tile guys. They're all working for Renovation Sells on all of our projects. So they're really familiar with our process, how we like to do things, how things should be set up within a kitchen or within a bathroom. And we also have a trusted list of subcontractors.
Jesse, a common question that I get from clients is wondering how they will pay for the cost of the renovation work, especially when they're not getting the benefit of living in the home with a brand new kitchen or a bathroom.
I think as a seller, you have to look at the renovations and the subsequent staging as an investment rather than a sunk cost. These are things that are going to get you more money for your property and help them sell faster, which saving you money and making you money. So don't look at it as much of, this is gonna cost me how much, I don't know if I can do this, but it's more, this is how much it's gonna help me sell my place and how much more I'm going to get for my property.
And save you on carrying costs too, like sitting a vacant unit, without the staging, without the renovation, it's costing you money every month. But if you price it right, do all these things up front, sell faster and for more money.
Absolutely.
No, certainly both the renovations and the staging, will impact the carrying costs for sure. We see that the properties that are, that homeowners invest in with renovations or staging really help, sell quicker and for higher list prices.
Especially in today's market, we've seen a lot of sellers actually list their place, and then after a couple months of getting very little interest, they'll take it off the market and come to us and come to Brad, and they'll say, it's not selling, please help. And we'll do the renovations, Brad will do the staging. They put it back on the market for sometimes even more than they had it listed for before, and it sells very quickly.
Oftentimes, there's a hesitancy to invest up front, and after a few weeks or a few months or longer of carrying costs, they realize that something needs to be done differently, and that staging or those renovations really help to kind of push that property forward and give it a fresh new look.
I agree, and I'll say that the market has really changed too, where if you price things right, really anything would sell in the spring, right, Tiffany? I mean, you saw how things were just flying off the shelves and everything was selling. And so there were certainly some people who had it in their minds that they didn't necessarily need to do renovations or staging then, although we saw people were still getting more money for it if they did it. But now things aren't really selling as quickly. So we're getting more and more people who, like I said, are listing the property it's not selling, it's not getting any interest because the place hasn't been updated in 15 years and it's sitting empty and buyers can't imagine what furniture looks like in these rooms. They don't have the staging, and that's when they pull it off and decide to come use us, and then it's selling a lot quicker. But a lot more people within this market really need to make that property stand out, and they need to do something to differentiate from the other properties, because it is definitely not a seller's market anymore. It's much more of a buyer's market.
I think what we're also seeing in the market is that vision that buyers have isn't what homeowners might see. The staging really helps buyers to be able to envision what a space will look like, if it's what that updated kitchen will look like through your work, Jesse, or through will a sofa or sectional fit into this room, or will a bed fit into this bedroom, in the work that we do as staging. The market has shifted such the buyers just don't have that vision that we're seeing in terms of being able to really see the spaces for their greatest potential.
The other thing too is that the younger buyers, which in an urban area like Chicago, it's typically a younger buyer as compared to the suburbs, they don't want to do the work. They don't want to look at a project and say, oh, this is going to be great, but you know what, I could spend $50,000. And they want to move. They want to move in ready. They'll pay a premium for that, and that goes along with the staging too. They want to see how it's going to look with everything in there, and not just guess about what's going to fit where. And they really want it looking perfect for them when they walk in, and they don't want to have to do the work themselves.
The younger buyer definitely is a shift in the market that we've seen over the last decade, and as Jesse said, that definitely is a big piece of it for us. If buyers are looking at a property that's that has a fresh, clean, neutral paint color throughout, that's going to be much more appealing than purchasing a property that needs to be painted or take on a project.
That's what I was going to say too, is that a lot of buyers don't want to do the projects, and like now with the way contractors are kind of booked up, I think a lot of buyers are concerned about finding a contractor, and you have all the contractors already, and you complete the work in like 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's tough because if you want to update a bathroom, say, you have to find someone that does tile, you have to find someone that does plumbing, electrical work, painting, someone that can install mirrors and vanities. So do you really want to go seek out all these people, as well as pick out all the products yourself and hope that you know what the buyer wants? Or Renovation Sells will do all that for you. And like you said, there are a lot of contractors who they can only handle a few jobs at a time. You call them and they're booked up 3 or 4 months. That's a long time to wait to get the place on the market. We can start every job within 2 weeks of a contract being signed, and our goal is to finish it as fast as possible. So typically 2 to 3 weeks. Obviously some of the bigger projects can take a little longer, but we know that this seller needs to get this place on the market and get it sold fast.
So one thing at Haven that is a focus for us is really providing on-trend inventory that really aligns with the properties that we're staging. So for us, every project is a unique one-off project, and so we're custom designing and custom selecting the furnishings that we put into each property. So for us, the neighborhood, the type of property, the demographic of a buyer, all of those factors come into play in terms of our selections and our furnishings. We have a 10,000 square foot warehouse of furnishings that we can pull from, so that each and every project is different and is special. For us, it's important that our look is transitional and neutral. That's going to appeal to the masses as much as possible. So certainly we will give it, if it's a loft, we're going to give it a loft type feel. If it's an entry level property, it may have a different look to it. But ultimately, we want the inventory and the furnishings and the staging to be something that's going to appeal to as broad of a base of buyers as possible.
That's a good point, and we try to do the same thing where, I've had people say, well, you're going to redo this kitchen or redo this bathroom, and someone might come in here and just want to redo it themselves. And our goal is to, like you said, appeal to the masses, and that's what Tiffany wants. She wants to get the most buyers in the door and have the most people who look at these pictures say, I got to see this place, this looks great. And so that's the goal, is not to do anything super specific that appeals to a small group. but who is the target buyer? And Tiffany will let Brad and I know who the target buyer is for this place, and how can we appeal to them with the renovation work that we do and the finishes that we put in, and then as well as the staging, to get the most people to walk through that door and our best chances of selling this place fast.
And ultimately, we're taking something. I mean, a home is certainly something that's very personal and something that that we that we're in every day. But when it comes to selling, we're turning it into a product. Something that someone wants to buy. And so there's a shift of how we how we need to look and move forward within a space.
Tiffany, how do you approach the subject of, hey, I think we should possibly get some work done, or I think we should really use staging furniture instead of your existing furniture? How do you broach that subject?
Yeah, so I treat every appointment, as a consultation. I walk through, take down notes while I'm walking through, and then if I think it makes sense to bring in Brad, if it's vacant, definitely bringing in a stager. If it's occupied and I just think that their furnishings don't go well, or sometimes if it's like too cluttered, then I'll bring Brad in because Brad can do modifications with the furniture that they have, or he can do full staging. And what I like is that they can also do room by room, because some rooms I think look fine, and then others might be cluttered or just need some work.
And that's something that I know Jesse offers as well, in terms of being able to look at the spaces and help prioritize those needs. So exactly, not every space may need to be furnished or may need to be updated, but what are the spaces that maybe look the most tired or look the most dated or are going to be the hardest for buyers to envision? Those are the spaces that we'll focus in on the staging, and Jesse will on the renovations.
And I think just from my experience too, I noticed that buyers don't like the maple cabinets and granite. They want quartz and white or gray cabinets. So just walking through, I kind of look at comps and I say, okay, if we didn't do anything, this is what we could price it at. And then if we do the staging and do the renovation, this is the price that I think we can list at and sell at. And a lot of times it just makes more sense.
Right, and that's one of the things we have to do sometimes, where you could make an argument for doing a lot of work in the place, but there may be a specific budget, and we have to figure out, hey, if we've got this much money, what is really going to get us the most bang for our buck? And it depends on the condition and how dated the bathrooms or the kitchens may be, but I would say in general, kitchens are usually the most important thing for buyers, and bathrooms right after that, the primary bathroom especially.
And for us, from a staging perspective, we also will help prioritize those spaces that are going to be oftentimes maybe the hardest for buyers to envision, or oftentimes, if a space is challenged in a variety of different ways, maybe it's the room's layout, or maybe it is dated finishes. By bringing in current furniture that's the right scale and the right look, that can help to kind of balance out that space quite a bit. For us, certainly the main living area is a priority space to show staged, as is the primary bedroom. But that being said, in this time over the last couple of years, we've definitely have seen a priority on home office spaces. So being able to really show home office spaces, be it a dedicated room or a nook in a living room, but showing a workspace, a home workspace, that's key. As is outdoor spaces. So we do a lot of staging of outdoor spaces to really show buyers that they can have a live work space, both indoor and outdoor.
Typically, the fall market softens compared to the spring. And I think this year, even more than ever, it's important to do the staging and renovation work, because we're seeing homes, we're seeing market times, seeing multiple offers the day it hits the market. We're seeing a little bit more longer market times and more price changes than we've seen, at least from over the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I think from our business, we were definitely very busy in the spring because there were a lot of places selling. And even though they were selling fast, people still understood the value of doing renovations or staging to help it sell for the most amount of money. And now it's people worried that it's not going to sell if they don't do that. because the market's definitely gotten a little softer. We've also seen and talked to people who are looking to do the work now in anticipation of selling in the spring. They feel like they might have missed out by not doing it 4 or 5 months ago, and now they're thinking, all right, I gotta get it ready. I've gotta get this listed at the prime time in the spring and hopefully get back to close to what we were this past spring where the market was really hot and they can maximize value and there'll be more buyers actually looking for places.
As we've spoken about too, I think, helping to differentiate properties. If you're looking at, in Chicago, the Chicago market more so than maybe other places, we see a lot of properties that are a high-rise property that have identical units, floor by floor, side by side. So, what can we do from a renovation or from a staging standpoint to help make the property feel different, unique, differentiated? So some of the work that we do will help with that. We too are also seeing people kind of preparing now to sell later. One of the things we offer is an occupied consultation where we'll go room by room and give those recommendations. And now really is a great time when maybe when the market's a little bit slower or slowing, doing those list of recommendations, much like Jesse's team would do their work now. Our list of recommendations gives the homeowners a checklist of room by room recommendations that they can do, and we help prioritize those too. So that they have a list of what's going to help each room to show its best. But now is a great time to do that now while there's time. From the staging perspective, we come in as early as we can in the process and really partner with you, Tiffany, and with your sellers to really identify what areas need the most attention and where we can really kind of wow buyers. That first impression makes a huge difference with buyers, and so our work is to really minimize questions about how a space might be used or what will fit into a space, but have them have buyers really be focused on larger items, the neighborhood, the property, things like that.
And our goal is to really get this place sold as fast as possible. And that's Tiffany's goal, that's the seller's goal. So oftentimes when we come in there and walk through, and I may say with Tiffany, hey, I think we should do this to the kitchen and this to the bathroom and paint these rooms. The concern is that this is going to be a very long construction process. It's going to be difficult for the sellers to live through this. They want to get on the market right away. So our goal is to start the work within 2 weeks of the contract being signed, finish it in a few weeks, and create minimal disruption to the sellers. So one of the other concerns they often have is, I don't want to live through a construction project. I want to be able to use this kitchen. We want to use this bathroom. You have to paint. We got furniture here. So what we try to do is, ideally, they're out of there. Sometimes people can move out before we do the work, if that's possible. If not, if they have to close on the new place the same day they close on their existing place, we might suggest, hey, are you thinking of taking a vacation soon? Can we work around that? And if not, we'll work around with the sellers living there, try to have minimal disruption, clean up afterwards. And again, do this as fast as possible so that they don't have to live through a construction job for months and we don't have to constantly worry about upsetting the homeowners while they're living there and we're trying to do this work and get the place listed as soon as possible.
And I think so much of the work that all of us do is really forward, looking to the next property, and so time, energy, and and focus should be on that new property that they're moving to, and not being focused on where they are now. So all of our work, we can help to do that as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I think that's, Tiffany, that's one of the great things that you provide value. I think we're all very full service in the offerings that we provide in our respective areas. But Tiffany, you're being able to really provide full service to your sellers with offering, Jesse and I, as well as other services from the very start, and making that really a seamless, easy process for sellers is a big piece of what you can offer.
Tiffany is definitely one of the agents that gets it. She knows that, hey, I have a listing. how can I sell this for the most money and as fast as possible? And I think there are some agents that don't necessarily put in that work, and they think, hey, I got this listing, let's just price it low enough so that we can get it sold fast. But they're not really doing the best for their client, right? A lot of agents, they don't get that. They don't want to put in that extra effort. And that's definitely something that differentiates Tiffany from a lot of the other agents that are out there.
We could just put it on the market the way it is, and this is what we'll get for the price. But if we put in a little work, make an investment up front, then we are maximizing our return, getting possibly even more money, and selling quickly. And just by selling quickly, you're taking away your carrying costs. Like if you already bought another place and your home sits vacant for a couple months, it's just adding on. But if you spend a little bit of investment up front to sell quicker.
I feel like Tiffany has a good handle on the market. So we'll go through walkthroughs sometimes and understand that, hey, the kitchen definitely needs work or the primary bathroom definitely needs work. But sometimes you get down to like bathroom 2 and 3, and Tiffany has the knowledge that, hey, this is a basement bathroom. While it's not perfect, this isn't what's going to necessarily sell the place. You're not going to get a return from doing the work down here. So really not worth doing this, this, and this. But here is where you're going to maximize your value if we do this type of work. And I think that goes with the staging too, where you realize, hey, if we're selling this place for this amount, we really can't stage every single room and put in every last detail, right? But if it's a $2 million house, you want to sell it for $2 million, you do need to put in that extra work to get top value. And the buyers of this type of property that might be that expensive are going to expect all the bathrooms are perfect, and they really are going to want to see staging in every room. And Tiffany has that knowledge to know, based on the target buyer, based on what we think we can list this at, here's what we need to do, here's what we don't need to do.
If sellers are wanting to get top dollar, it does take an investment of time and effort to do that, be it through the renovations or through staging. It's easy to want to sell at a certain price, but then quickly be frustrated when it's not selling if you don't do those things. So I think through our work collectively, we can help get much closer to that goal and much faster as well.
Jesse, Brad, it was great having you both here today to talk a little bit more about the selling process and getting your home ready to sell. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate being able to talk with both of you today, and love working with you.
It's been a pleasure as well. It's been great to speak today, and great to have a partner like you, Tiffany.
Looking forward to working together on the next project.